You just get that reaction when Jamie Lee says, I'm challenging you right now.
You're challenging me.
Anyway, health talk. It's a Tuesday. Now, as children, I think we all remember how our parents often made sure that we see the doctor for our annual medical checkup. But as we grow older, this sometimes slips our minds and we're too busy.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But an annual yearly checkup is very, very important. It stays a healthy, stable of a good health regimen. And that's exactly why today we've got Dr. Ashley Petersen, who is a general practitioner and owner of HealthCross, here to tell us about what happens during a yearly checkup. We're going to talk about blood pressure, your iron levels, your sugar levels, and all the important stuff that you need to know. In fact, if you have any questions to ask regarding those things, please do let us know on our Expresso Morning Show SABC3 Facebook page. Dr. Petersen, good morning.
Good morning.
Happy New Year.
Thank you, and to you.
Dr. Petersen, can be quite daunting visiting a doctor for your annual checkup because you don't know what they're going to find, but it's important because you want to know what's there so that you can treat it if something is not right.
Yeah.
The first thing I've often found when I went in is that they do, or you do, a blood pressure check. What is the normal blood pressure, and why do you need to check this?
I think mainly the whole issue of prevention being better than cure is probably the main reason as to why we need this annual checkups. And you're right, I mean, blood pressure is one of those things that often goes by and we don't actually take notice of it. But it's basically, as I said, diabetes is a silent killer, so is blood pressure. And you need to know these things. So blood pressure basically is something that is normal. There's no real normal blood pressure. So we have a median that most of the population actually has, and that's 120/80. So where the top figure usually demonstrates your heart rate, or your heart, the blood pressure when your heart is contracting, and the bottom number when your heart is at rest. So basically both are quite important, and both has the implications in terms of your health. But yeah, I think the general population would have a normal BP of 120/80.
Yeah. So what's regarded then as having high blood pressure, and what is the effect if you do have high blood pressure on your body?
Well, a high blood pressure should be classified as a diastolic of above 120.
Oh, wait, a what systolic?
Sorry, the systolic above 120, and the diastolic above 90.
So
but like I said,
systolic is the upper
systolic
number?
is the upper number, diastolic is the lower number.
Okay.
Yes.
And so basically, but like I said, it all varies from person to person, basically.
Yes.
Because you can be walking around with a systolic of 130, for example, which might be normal for you.
Yes, yes.
So it's all about just finding yourself in which side of the bowel you basically are.
Yeah. But then having high blood pressure, what effects can that have on your body?
Well, it can have quite devastating effects.
Yeah.
Well, first it affects your arteries. It affects your heart. It can affect your brain, can affect your nerves. So in terms of your arteries, they do cause damage to the inside of your arteries.
Wow.
And with the result, you can actually have deposits sit in the inside of your arteries or collect on the inside of your arteries, narrowing it even more, which just exacerbates the whole problem again.
Okay. Yeah.
And then also in terms of your aneurysms, which you've probably heard of as well.
Yeah.
Because if you have the increased blood pressure and you have the damage on the inside of your walls, the artery walls, you could have a weakening of the muscle.
Yeah.
And an outbowing of the actual artery, and causing an aneurysm.
Well, that's scary.
And it is quite scary. And it's things that people don't actually take note of all that often.
Well, you've brought your paraphernalia with you along here, and now that you've gone on about all those risks and challenges that can come up, I want to get my blood pressure checked. Can we do that here now?
We may, of course.
You know, part of a blood pressure test is that you need to relax. You've got to relax now.
Okay,
You seem very stressed.
All right.
So going into your woosa right now. So this is what would happen if you were to go to the doctors.
Absolutely.
It's absolutely painless having a blood pressure test done.
Painless.
It is so painless. I can put this down
on me.
Hold that for me, please.
Breathe, Tabiso. Good.
So it will give a bit of a siren if it is a problem.
Oh.
So we'll be able to hear if there is a problem.
We do have medics standing by outside, and an ambulance in case Tabzi needs.
And the doctor came in it. He drove it here.
Exactly. All right, let's show this to the camera so we can show the camera the goodies there. So what it's saying right now is Tabzi.
So
what are we seeing? Is it's 164?
Well, no, that's just how it's timing. So it's
calibrate. Okay, there you go, Doc.
We'll know soon enough.
Please focus on something else.
No sirens yet.
Look up at the roof and breathe normally, Tabzi.
I can hear the
No,
bells.
No, you shouldn't be,
Don't.
shouldn't be hearing bells.
Look at me. Look at me.
Okay, so that's...
Everything all right? Yeah?
Okay,
What's happening?
that is slightly loud, but I think it's supposed to be the bells that he's hearing.
What is happening?
You're shaking right now.
Yeah, so that is slightly, I mean, it's quite high, 149 over 108. But I think it's because you were exciting yourself. So we should maybe repeat it in the next 5 minutes or so.
Okay.
When you're more relaxed. I don't know.
All right.
It usually happens when you are excited or when you're nervous.
Well,
when you're nervous, it's going to be
I'll tell you
elevated.
this, Dr. Petersen. Tabzi's been working very, very hard
Is that
at
so?
the gym.
Okay, gosh.
In fact, this morning he had like a 5-kilometer run and he did a weight session as well.
And
Wow.
when Kat was doing his morning push-ups that he usually does in front of me in the change room, I joined him this morning.
Wonderful. Okay.
So we'll do it again.
A break. But listen, throw those questions our way. Expresso Morning Show, SABC3 is where you can find us on Facebook. It's Health Talk time. We're talking about the annual checkups that we all need to do, and myself included. I haven't done mine in quite some time, and so I'm so glad that the doctor is here to give us good advice on that. We'll see you on the other side of a short break.
Do it now.
Okay.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
It is your feel-good breakfast show. It's Expresso live on SABC3. So I did put Kat to the challenge. Everyone is getting their tests done. Mine was at 149.
Can you see this?
Yours is at 120.
Can we get a close-up of this?
120. Doctor, you said 120 means what again?
Means pretty normal.
Pretty normal.
For lack of a better word, yeah.
Pretty normal.
Yeah, he's had
Yeah.
enough time to
I mean,
relax
that's
and
quite
just
good.
get into it.
Quite good.
Another word for normal would be healthy. That's the word you would use on the
absolutely.
streets, I suppose,
Absolutely.
or the doctors. would.
Absolutely.
This is fantastic. Well
I
done.
appreciate
Kat.
your-
You've really done
Thank
well this
you.
festive season, looking after you.
I have.
Hey?
I really
I like
have.
that
And
for you. I like
drinking
that.
water and minding my business.
You're the guy. You're the guy.
what's-
Well, it is Health Tuesday, and we're taking a look at that annual checkup that is so vital for all of us to do. As kids, we're reminded all the time. Our parents take us in, but of course, as adults, we do tend to sort of neglect it. And Dr. Petersen is here joining us. So, Dr. Petersen, now we're talking about blood pressure.
Yes.
Blood pressure. Let's talk about what is normal blood pressure and what causes high blood pressure.
Blood pressure.
Oh, that's what we spoke about.
We're talking about that.
That's
So
what we spoke-
let's quickly
levels.
let's go with this. So now that you've had your high blood pressure
Yes.
test done,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the first thing. What are the other tests that
you can
are done at your annual checkup?
Well, it would include your glucose levels, so your HCT as we call it, as well as your hemoglobin, which is usually we refer to an iron test, but it's basically a hemoglobin test, which is not really the same thing. And you have normal things like your female type of checkups and your male checkups, like your testicular examinations, prostate examinations,
Sugar
cervical.
levels as well.
Yeah, but sugar levels definitely.
Why is it important to check our sugar levels?
Well, diabetes is known as a silent killer, as I said earlier. So you would go on as if everything was perfectly fine, and you would have this high sugar level that you are basically sitting with and not be aware of it. And the one thing about it, for example, in cases of your heart attacks or your myocardial infarctions, it's the one thing that doesn't cause a chest pain. Your diabetes. So you wouldn't actually know you have a heart attack and you're basically having it. So basically it's good to have it checked beforehand.
Yeah.
With the ever-increasing westernized diet as well, you have health patterns changing, and so it is quite important.
Yeah, and I guess that also gives you a good indication of your body's insulin production and absorption.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Let's talk about the different classifications of sugar disturbances in your body. Yeah.
Well, basically there are 4. You have pre-diabetes, you have type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes, and your gestational diabetes. So your pre-diabetes is basically if you have high sugar levels, but it's not basically a full-on diabetes as yet. So you can still basically do some changes in terms of your lifestyle to prevent it from actually getting any worse.
Right. Yeah.
Type 1 is mainly seen in children, and that is when you have insulin, you don't have enough insulin that is produced. And type 2 is basically if you have the insulin there, but it's not working the way it should.
Yeah.
And then your gestational diabetes basically is a diabetes found in pregnant women, which usually only lasts for the period of pregnancy, but can actually extend beyond that as well, and you can have a type 2 diabetes.
And Dr. Petersen, what are the effects of high sugar levels in the body?
Well, there's 3 main causes. It causes a retinopathy, I'll explain it to you right now. So a retinopathy, a neuropathy, and a nephropathy. So retinopathy basically affects your vision. so it damages the blood vessels in the actual retina. So it can actually cause blindness eventually, which in many cases it does. Your neuropathy is basically if you have, and it's mostly a peripheral neuropathy. So on the ends of your arm, your hands and your feet, you start not feeling the sensation goes one way. And your nephropathy, it affects your kidneys. So so those are all the main basic effects. But also, you might have heard of the diabetic foot as well.
Yes.
Which is something, because you don't feel anything because of the neuropathy, you will step, if you're walking barefoot and you're diabetic and you step into a stone or something, you will not feel it, cause an ulcer on the base of your foot, and that just basically can end up in gangrene.
Wow.
So that's just in basic layman's terms, that's basically what could happen.
And if my understanding is correct, I mean, once you've developed full-on diabetes, whether type 1 or type 2, it's one of those things that the condition can't be reversed, right?
Yeah.
It's now about management thereof, whether it's through insulin injection. So just to kind of emphasize the importance of having that checkup done, because you don't want to get to a stage where you were pre-diabetic and you could have done something about it, but now it's too late.
For sure.
How do you test for that?
Well, we do a finger prick test. That's the quickest way to detect whether you are diabetic or not. But there are formal tests as well. They do, so they're actually having the blood drawn and all those things. And having something done which is called the HbA1c, which gives you a record as such of how the blood sugar has been over a couple of months. But for now, I think it's just the finger prick.
Okay.
We've got the finger prick.
We have the finger prick.
I'm ready for that.
You ready for
You
that?
ready?
Yeah.
Okay, Tubbsy, you're up, man. I'm gonna just shift over this way. You can go over there.
Well,
Tubbsy's being the brave one here.
Yeah, and I mean, here's the thing, is that you don't want to only go in for these tests and finding these things out as soon as you see the symptoms where you suspect you might be in trouble, right? You want to make sure you just go on a regular random day
Absolutely.
where you're feeling...
Well, that's the thing. So I think it's a misnomer, the annual checkup, because you should actually have it checked as often as possible.
Okay.
So just because you're feeling okay doesn't mean you don't have to have it checked.
Yeah. Which finger would you like?
I'll have that finger.
Which finger would you like? The little finger on my right. Are you squeamish when it comes to needles?
No, not
You
really.
sure?
Not this particular one.
But
Okay,
Yeah, I'm better at...
you don't need like emotional support.
No, it makes me anxious when people give me support.
Okay,
like
look away,
that.
look away. Don't. That's going to affect your results. Don't.
Not really.
All right. So a simple finger prick, then you press, and then so obviously that little stub that's attached to the machine, that's going to be the one. Oh, fancy machine.
It's
Processing your
It
results.
speaks, eh?
It does
So
speak.
what are you expecting to see on that screen, doctor?
Well, in this case, it's 4.8.
4.8.
4.8.
Which is pretty okay. Have you eaten this morning, though?
I haven't yet.
Okay.
I did have 2 cups of coffee.
Oh, you did? Okay. But usually you have various stages in your well, during the day that you have to have it checked. It's when you wake up in the morning, before eating, after eating. So each reading will basically be different, but obviously within limits. So,
4.8, is that a good one?
4.8 it's okay.
Decent.
It's well, you haven't eaten yet. I mean, you need to eat something, but I mean, it's not something you need to go to the hospital for.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so for now we've spoken about blood pressure, we've spoken about testing your sugar levels, and then when we come back, we'll be speaking to the doctor about checking your iron levels, or otherwise known as your hemoglobin test, which is part of what should be your annual health checkup, or as the doctor said, should be checked as often as possible because it can lead to certain health risks that are, in some cases, irreversible. But while you let that digest a little bit, let's take in a performance.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Challenge is indeed set and it is on. It's the start of a brand new year. That means we're all challenging ourselves to a much healthier year, a much healthier lifestyle. That starts with knowing where you stand as far as your health status. And that means going for that annual checkup. In fact, as far as Dr. Petersen has said, you go as regularly and as often as you possibly can. It's now time for us to take a look at gender-specific tests, looking at what women specifically should be asking to test for when they do go in, as well as what men should specifically test for over and above what we've already looked at: high blood pressure, we've already looked at your sugar levels and all of that, those kind of tests. Dr. Petersen, once again, this is absolutely incredible that we're starting this conversation at this time of the year. Thank you.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
What would be the next test to get into? Iron test, right? What is the main function of iron in your blood tests?
Well, iron are basically the oxygen carriers in your blood.
Okay.
So they basically attach to your red blood cells, and oxygen itself attaches to your hemoglobin. So basically, without your iron, or with low iron, you're going to have your oxygen levels dropping quite substantially. And that obviously has effects on you in terms of your body systems and how you function, basically. Yeah.
And in terms of the annual test, so of course the iron test is one thing, but for women specifically, when they do go in for these checkups and these tests, what should women be looking out for specifically, and what would doctors typically check for in women?
Well, mainly we need to make sure that women's health is actually quite a big thing, has been for the past couple of years. Cannot be understated, the importance of it. But basically to check for cervical screening, we'll do cervical screening and do your breast checks. Those are the two main things that women usually come for. They're quite important as well. So coming into your GP practice, women would want to have their breast check. They complain of feeling a lump. So doing a breast examination.
Pap smears.
And Pap smears itself as a cervical screening tool, cervical cancer screening tool, that is. So those are the two main tests that women actually request and that they basically need. There is a drive to do it every 10 years from 30 years old, so 30, 40 and 50. But basically it all depends on what your initial Pap smear result was or cervical smear result was. It will indicate whether you should have it repeated in the next year or so, but all basically, as long as you have your first one, you can actually take it further from there.
Absolutely. And then taking it over to the men's side, what test should they have regularly done as well?
Well, men should basically be checking for testicular cancer as well as for prostate cancer. Obviously, prostate cancer is more age-specific. So you find it in the older males, although it can happen in younger males. So basically having that check, testicular checks you can do yourself as a male, or if you aren't comfortable checking for yourself, you can have a GP do it for you. It is a very slow-growing tumor, testicular cancer, so it means it can go undetected for quite some time. So basically having it checked as often as possible is quite important.
You are saying that it's usually in the older generation, but I also read something, I think it was last week, where cancer is now becoming to the younger age.
Absolutely.
So at what age would you then say, like, start going?
I would start going from age 45, to be honest. I mean, for your prostate check. It doesn't mean because it happens mainly in older age groups, it cannot happen to you as a younger person. Definitely can. So yeah, I would say 45 would be a good age to have it checked out. Yeah.
We have received quite a number of social media comments and questions which are coming through. I'm going to be asking some of those too. In fact, here's Gail, because Gail asked us, it's a long one. It says, "Good morning, my Expresso family. First things first, I must say Dr. Petersen is the best doc ever. We still miss him at our community health center where he used to work. Well done, Dr. Ash Petersen. Kiss face." I have a question for the good doc. A few years ago at this above community center, I was diagnosed with high cholesterol levels due to a persistent pain I got in my chest area. That was about 3 years ago. Now I get this burning pain in my feet. Whenever I sit down, my legs get numb and my sugar levels were tested and it's normal. Can this be nerve damage, and how do I ask for it to be tested? And people often don't know how to ask and what to say.
Look, that does seem as if it's more of a vascular problem, so your blood vessel problem. And because cholesterol itself will deposit on the inside of your arteries, causing narrowing of the arteries and causing your blood not to get to where it needs to be. And that's probably the main pain that she's experiencing. I doubt it is a neuropathy or a neurological problem. But once again, these things needs to be screened. So it's difficult to actually assess in the setup, but it needs to be screened. So if you need to have a check, it's probably best to go see a neurologist and have a referral to a neurologist for that.
It's good that Gail has noted it and now she can do something
Do you remember
about
her?
I remember, yes.
That is wonderful. Well, you've done such good work clearly in the various communities that you work in. But today you've also helped so many people out there who are watching this show, who are going to now take the challenge on, but also me as well for the test that I have done. I thank you very much.
Thank you.
Know, you did say earlier that my blood pressure is a bit sketchy. You want to book me off? Maybe you can sign there.
I think I'll sign it after this.
I would like to take some days off.
At least a couple of weeks of rest and relaxation.
How dare you? You just came back from vacation.
Ashley Petersen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, while you think about going out and getting yourself checked, we're going to take a quick break.